Welcome to the MLB Closing Time Show, Pub Sports Radio for Saturday, June 19th. Ian Cameron, Conor Mac, and we have a special guest joining us. You know him well. See him in the chat all the time. Great baseball bettor himself. Always gives you great insight, great info, great stats, great angles every day in our chats on various shows here on the channel. Jimmy's show, this show, and a whole lot more. David Sharpe, Sharpie joining us. Sharpie Bets on Twitter. David, welcome. I'm glad you could join us finally. It's about time.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it more than you know.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. We're excited. Absolutely excited to have you on the show with us. Let's get to it. We've got lots of baseball, lots of day games, as you would expect on a weekend. We start with the Oakland Athletics and the New York Yankees. Chris Bassett, Domingo Germán, your pitching matchup here. Yankees minus 130, home favorites, 9.5 the total in this one. Oakland gets it done yesterday, although frustrating, man. I gave them first 5 as my best bet on the show yesterday. And of course they win full game. And I had bet both of them. So I actually split on the game, but still it's frustrating when you give the first 5 as the best bet.
I know that was me the other day with them. Remember with the Angels? Yep. I had full game too run line, but yeah, fuck. But
yeah,
I know
that
shit happens, but yeah.
very, very difficult. So this game early on, look, Chris Bassett's never been a guy that I've been overly anxious to back. But, you have to give him his due. He's had a decent season so far for the A's, 3.43 ERA. Usually I prefer him at home. We'll see how he fares here against this Yankees lineup, which, again, is feast or famine, not consistent one day to the next. Domingo Germán had a rough start to the season. He's pitched a little bit better, but the home run ball does continue to plague him. That's really where, he still runs into trouble. Home runs just continue to be a bit of an issue for him, bit of a sore spot. Worth noting here, we've got Mark Canha and Matt Olson 9 for 11 against Domingo Germán in the past. So they've done significant damage. They've got 3 home runs combined between them. We know Germán has a propensity to give up home runs. And so, Matt Olson, Mark Canha, a home run prop, jack of the day, potentially, certainly on the radar for me. As far as the side and the total goes, 2 pitchers that have been pretty solid. Maybe you can go with the first 5 under. I know there's a lot of people liking strikeout props for these 2 guys today. I might look at Canha and Olson from a home run prop perspective. As far as the side goes, I could only lean Oakland again. I think they're undervalued. Their record's incredible right now. The Yankees, you don't know what you're going to get one game to the next. Yeah, they swept a struggling Blue Jays team, but then they come home and they lose to Oakland in the opener last night. So the lean here for me would be to Oakland a little bit, but I'm going to look at those home run props maybe for Mark Canha, Matt Olson more than anything. David, we'll start with you. Since you're our special guest today, what do you think here, Oakland, New York?
Like you said in this game, we got 9 miles per hour out too, so that's going to help any type of home runs that are going out in that little ballpark they got over in New York. They're both middle of the pack OPS type deal. Yankees do have the better bullpen, so I'm gonna look to live bet this game. I'm gonna hope the Yankees do pop out, or if Oakland pops out. Either way, I could take the Yankees plus the runs or minus the runs after 5th or 6th inning is the way I want to attack this game.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Some of the best betting strategies in MLB are, you know what? Don't love anything pregame, look live. Absolutely. Connor, what do you think here? Athletics, Yankees.
Yeah, this is one I'd only look to the A's with their value. I don't want to lay a number right now at the Yankees, even at home, minus 125. I'd be on the A's early. I know first 5, it's got me and you, Ian, here. But that's the only way I'd look. The first 5 under 5, they've just been hit too hard, especially Germán here. I'm going to lay off that. But, yeah, you mentioned Olson and Canha. Great numbers off him. Decent total base props or home run props today. And Germán, I looked over his strikeouts over 5.5 plus 128, but I don't know if he could get 6. So I looked at that, but that was a stay off for me.
Yeah, shame on me for betting this next game over the total last night, Mets and Nationals. And I knew what I was getting into with these 2 lineups. You can't trust them one day to the next. And sure enough, what was it? 1-0 last night, a walk-off win for the Nats. Now they're back at it today. Peterson and Ross on the mound. This is the first of a day-night doubleheader between these 2 teams. So keep in mind, this is a 7-inning game. That's why the total is where it is at 7 here in this game. Look, I'm done betting an over with these 2 lineups right now. What are the Mets on? Like a 2-game scoreless streak right now, 2+ games. I mean, it's been absolutely terrible for them, and we know the Nats aren't anything to write home about. The Nats are a little bit better against lefties, but here we have David Peterson coming off an absolutely spectacular start, in his last outing. I couldn't believe how good he was in his last game for the New York
Yeah, me
Mets.
too.
So it's a tricky game. I mean, I'm not a big Peterson fan, but I'm I'm not a fan of the lineups and the form they're in right now. So it's tricky. And Joe Ross, same thing. You know, he's capable, but not someone I'm rushing to back. But I'm even lesser keen on backing two lineups that are struggling to hit their way out of a wet paper bag right now. So this is a game I probably don't have much on, and we'll stay out of it. What do you think here, Conor Mac? We'll start with you this time. Mets and Nationals.
Yeah, two pitchers you think that could and should get hit, but this Mets lineup is just they can't hit anything until they get people back. They're just ravaged. I couldn't take an over here, and with these pitchers, you'd think this is the way to go. Peterson pitched well. That was at home. I don't expect him to do so well now on the road. I'm going to stay away. I'd lean the full game under 6.5 at even money. You probably get 7 at -125. Until they start scoring runs, these teams, I'd stick to the under. The Mets have been nothing but an under machine lately. Full game, I think it's like 8-1. I forgot what it was. We looked up yesterday, but I just look under here a little bit. I guess you lean Nats. They hit lefties well, Peterson. So maybe Nationals a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean 6-2 to the under in their last 8 for the Mets, 7-1 to the under the last 8 for Washington. So you're talking about two teams that you're right,
Okay.
heavily trending under the total. And like I said, I thought that was two hittable pitchers last night, and they couldn't hit either one. So that tells me I would probably play under here or before the over when it comes to the total. David, what do you like here?
I'm going to beat my head into a wall and bet that over 4.5 first 5. I see Ross and Peterson, man, and I know both teams are struggling, but these are not aces or number 2s or 3s at that matter.
Yep.
I see runs, and like yesterday in the Discord, we live bet the under after the 6th inning because this is the number 1 and number 3 bullpen the last 7 days. So once they get to their bullpens, nothing's going on, guys. So that's another live betting tip that I got written down that I've been following.
Yeah, tricky one too. Seven inning game today, because the doubleheader, not a normal 9. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 7 innings, which is also why the total's lower. So David Sharpe taking a shot with and you're right. That would have been my first thought, especially if these two lineups were in any sort of form. You're right. The over would be screaming out to me right now. But I hope better luck for you than I did yesterday, trusting an over with these two lineups. We'll see how it goes today. Cubs and the Marlins next up at Wrigley Field. We've got Jake Arrieta, Pablo Lopez on the mound in this matchup. The Cubs around -130. Home favorites, 9 the total in this one. The Cubs back to being in a bit of a funk again, 1-4 in their last 5 games. And Jake Arrieta has been absolutely pathetic as of late, 5.14 ERA on the season. But, you shrink that down into the shorter term in the current form. How about a 7.4 ERA in his last 4 starts for Jake Arrieta? I mean, it's been absolutely brutal for him right now. It's actually, he's actually pitched decently at Wrigley, so that's the one thing he's going to have to hope for here in this outing. But still, we're talking about a guy that is struggling right now. He's going to have to hope that home ballpark is better for him, because it's worth noting his home ERA is only 3.16 and his road ERA is like almost over 6 actually. So he has had a little bit of a home road split. Hopefully the home Wrigley Field helps him out today. And Miami's lineup is certainly nothing to write home about, but they did have a nice win yesterday, and they got some early runs in that game off Zach Davies, of all people, who had been in terrific form going into that outing last night. So this is kind of like the Oakland Yankees game for me. I can't lay a price with the Cubs right now, and I don't want to lay a price with the Yankees in that game. And for me, it would be Miami or nothing here with Pablo Lopez, who's been solid, 3.12 ERA, didn't pitch well last time against Atlanta. It only lasted 3 innings and gave up 4 runs. So that does worry me a little bit going into this matchup here, that he struggled his last time out. But Arrieta's struggles are far more pronounced right now than Pablo Lopez. And overall, the Cubs team, like I said, 4 of their last 5 they've lost. So I'm leaning Marlins here, a first 5 and full game split. Connor, what do you think here, Marlins Cubs?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I just Lopez, we talk about on the road. He's not as good at home. I mean, still his overall record's all right. I mean, it's 2-4 his ERA. I mean, Arrieta, I don't want him. I know the Cubs have been better at home. Yesterday, they kind of took it here. There's good numbers off him here. Starling Marte's 14 for 49 with a couple homers. Even Rojas, Aguilar, a bunch of other guys have homers off him. So the long ball could be in play. It's just, you want to take the Marlins, you could take them first 5 or that. It's just, and another reason is Marlins team total over 4.5. I was looking at that was plus 115, 110. Can they get 5 runs again? They got 10 yesterday. This is a stay off for me.
Yeah, I could look at all 3 of those from a home run perspective. I'm interested. Miguel Rojas, Jorge Alfaro, and certainly Starling Marte, and his 14 for 45 and 2 home runs against Jake Arrieta. And by the way, now that I'm starting to look at these stats, and now I'm looking at the wind conditions as well at Wrigley, I'm looking at 10 miles per hour southwest winds blowing out to right center field, 85 degrees, balmy day, total of 9. I'm talking myself into the over a little bit, especially the one concern I have with Lopez is his road numbers aren't as good as they are at home. And the Cubs usually do hit a little bit better at home than they do on the road. So maybe this game can get up and over the total in this one. We'll have to wait and see. David, what do you think here? Miami, Chicago.
Pretty much the same leans you guys were looking at. I would love to take Miami first 5, but I would want a little bit of plus money. I don't want even money on the road versus the Cubs. The Cubs are a better ball team. It shouldn't be even money. But 10 miles per hour out, 85 degrees and 60% humidity tells me over, especially in Chicago. And when the wind's blowing out, the ball goes out. That's just what happens there. So maybe a first 5 over, because Lopez's ERA on the road is 5+ home 2, like Connor was saying. There's a big gap in his home road splits.
There's no question about that. And the Cubs bullpen is good. So you may want to first 5 over for that reason, because the Cubs do have a pretty solid pen. The Toronto Blue Jays, the slump continues for them. I thought facing this Baltimore team could get them out of their funk. And last night, that was not the case. Not only do they lose to Baltimore, but they get drilled, although a lot of that was the bullpen again, which is completely pathetic right now for this team. Alek Manoah, Dean Kramer on the mound. Toronto laying a sizable number here. You can get them around minus 170. Road favorites here in this one. The total is 10 across the board. I do like Alek Manoah a good deal, though. 2.66 ERA. I'm probably in the same boat as I was yesterday, and I'm just going to hope for a better result. Minus a half a run in the first 5 innings for the Toronto Blue Jays. Look, I get it. They're slumping right now. I can't explain how they lost. I do explain why. The bullpen's terrible. So any Blue Jay bet has to be first 5 right now. Cannot take this team full game at the moment with the way that bullpen is. But I like Manoah. Baltimore's got Dean Kramer, who's pitched like Cosmo Kramer all season long. He's not very good. Over 6 ERA. He's 0-6, by the way, on the season. Look, Toronto's still the better of these 2 teams. It may not look like it right now because they're slumping, but if they're going to get a back off the schneid here and at least win a first 5 innings, I don't know about a game, because they could actually be up after the first 5 innings and the bullpen blows it for them again. We've seen that time and time again. But if they're going to have a lead after the first 5, this is as good a day as any. I like Alek Manoah. He's a bet-on pitcher for me. The Orioles still do strike out a little bit, and against a power pitcher like him, power arm, that could be trouble. So I'm going to go back to the well and hope for a better result than last night. Toronto Blue Jays, minus a half run, first 5 innings. Connor, what do you think here? Blue Jays, Orioles?
Yeah. It's Blue Jays or nothing, but the price is just too much. First 5, I think it's still, I don't want it. It's probably 140, I'm guessing, minus a half a run. I'd have to look it up. And their full game run line's minus 115. Kramer hasn't won a game, 0-6, 6.65 ERA. Orioles played well yesterday with a win. Just a difficult spot. I know Manoah, I don't have his strikeout prop up yet. I'm sure Sharpe, you might let me know that in just 1 second.
I just got
but I want to be on it. Okay, I was waiting for you because I don't have it up on mine, so I only have the first 6 games. So let me know, man.
Yep.
By the way, the Blue Jays half a run is minus 130, so it's a little better price than I thought it would be. So that's a little bit more digestible, if you will. Sharpie, what do you like here? Toronto, Baltimore.
I'm loving that K prop. They haven't posted Manoah yet, but I'm expecting a 5.5. It should be a 4.5, but they know the fact that everybody's been jumping on the Manoah train, guys. They know it, so they've been adding on the juice. And last week was the first time he hit his K prop, and he's been out there 3 times now. But he's a guy who averages 13.5 Ks in the minors per 9 innings. So he's got the nasty shit. He's got some really, really good stuff, guys. And he's going against a Baltimore team who walks the least versus right-handed batters and strike out the sixth most. That's really good for K props, guys. When guys just swing the bat freely, that's what we want when we want a K prop. So I'm looking at Manoah. As soon as they drop that, I want a 5.5. And if they give a 4.5, I'm betting a lot more.
Yeah, the Baltimore Orioles have been a bad team for 3, 4, 5 years at least now, and throughout that time, the one consistent is one of the league leaders in strikeouts as a ball club, and that's exactly what you get, obviously, with those bad teams. So it should be a good day for Manoah in terms of inducing those swings and misses from this free swinging Orioles lineup, no question. Yeah, go ahead.
We do have a 24% chance of rain in this game, so I did write that next to it, not knowing. And with K-props, if you do not finish 8.5 innings, you're refunded, whether you won or lost. They do not cash your ticket if it does not make 8.5.
Yeah, the good news is it looks like, and I'm looking at the updated hourly forecast, the rain should hold off till late evening. So I think they're going to get this ball game in. They're saying overcast today in Baltimore. So it looks like this game will end up getting played this afternoon in Camden Yards. Minnesota, Texas now. We've got Randy Dobnak, Conor Mac's favorite here, against Colby Allard for the Texas Rangers. We've got Texas pretty much even money actually here is what we're looking at in this game. Actually, Texas slightly favored at home. The total 9 across the board. Look, I'm keeping this simple. I'm on Texas team total over. I don't want to screw around with Colby Allard against the Twins lineup. I don't know if he's going to fare well. He's actually got good numbers, but Minnesota's not bad against lefties. What I am going to bank on is even this Texas lineup, which, you know what? They did have some good swings and good ABs last night against a very good pitcher in Jose Barrios. Holy shit, they're making me sweat that first 5 innings. Texas, they wouldn't go away in that game last night, and I squeaked it out with that fifth inning solo bomb that was hit by, I believe, Jeffers, or to get that game over the total, or to get that game home to the first 5 innings, minus a half run for Minnesota, 4-3. And then they hung on for dear life in extra innings. So Texas was tough last night, and that was with Barrios on the mound. Now you got Randy Dobnak. You know how bad he's been? The 4 of his 5 starts, he's given up 6 runs or more. Think about that. He's given up 6 runs or more in 4 of the 5 starts that he's had since being part of this rotation, moving from the bullpen to the starting rotation. Again, this is only because of necessity, because the Twins have had some injuries in their rotation, but it's just not any good. So if he's given up 6 runs in 4 of his 5 starts, then chances are pretty good you can hit this team total, right? With this Texas team. That's what I'm hoping for. So for me, it's Texas team total over here for me against Randy Dobnak. We know he's not good. We know the Twins bullpen really isn't great either. So Texas, this is a day where, I'm not in love with this offense day to day by any stretch, but this is definitely a spot where I think we can expect the Rangers to score some runs today. Connor, what do you think here? Twins, Rangers.
Yeah, we'll see. Can they these Rangers get over 4.5 I have here at even money against Dobnak? We'll see. They scored a few last night, like you mentioned. I lean the Rangers first 5. Allard got his first win. He's pitched well his last 3 or so starts. 2-2, the 2.91 ERA, beat the Dodgers. And I might go full game instead of, I was looking first 5, but that Twins bullpen's horrible because Dobnak, this maybe could get over a first 5 over, but it's at 5. I don't like those. If this was a 4.5, I think that'd be a good look. So yeah, I'm probably going to stay off, but I lean Rangers here. I'd only be on the Rangers, and yeah, maybe their team total.
Last 10 games, by the way, Twins, again, you want to look at full season numbers, but now that we're almost at the All-Star break, halfway through a season, you want to look at short-term numbers. You want to look at last 5 games. You want to look at last 10 games. And Minnesota, the last 10 games, 326 as a team batting average against lefties and over 6 runs per game. So, yes, Allard's been good, but, boy, Twins in the short term really hitting lefties. So it's an interesting match.
They can hit lefties.
Who's going to win that battle, Allard or that Twins lineup? David, what do you think here, Minnesota, Texas?
I had nothing on it till I heard you talking, Ian. And then I ended up betting the first 5 over 5 because I expect Dobnak to get hit. Of course, like you said, he's given up 3 minimum, if not 4, 5, 6. Like, we're getting 3. And I just don't see Allard holding down the Minnesota offense. I mean, they're the 5th best in the league OPS. They're smashing lefties, and I expect them to eat too. I don't want the side. I just want just give me the over first 5. I wish it was a 4.5 like Connor was saying, but I see 5, if not 6.
Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. Like we say, beggars can't be choosers. Sometimes we get what we get in terms of the number, for better or worse. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cal Quantrill, Will Crow. On the mound here, Cleveland minus 120, a slight road favorites here, 8.5 the total in this one. What a barrage by Pittsburgh last night offensively. We know they haven't had many of those nights where just the lineup is absolutely killing it, and yet, they had to hang on at the end to get that victory, 11-10, as the Cleveland Indians made a crazy near comeback against that Pirate bullpen. But Pittsburgh was able to hang on. We've got Will Crowe on the mound here for the Pirates. Like I said, he's 6.75 ERA on the season. There's really been not much I've seen out of this guy to make me excited about backing him. Cal Quantrill on the other side for Cleveland. We'll see how he goes here. Last start was actually against Baltimore. Not bad, I should say. 4 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. He just didn't pitch deep into the game, so you're probably going to see a lot of that Cleveland bullpen. But Quantrill getting another start today. 5.4 ERA against Pittsburgh. Crowe, just not really all that spectacular at all. We'll see if he can get it done here. It was better last time against Milwaukee. Pitched against them 6 days ago. Had 8 strikeouts, which is rare for him. 2 runs in that game. So it was definitely one of his best starts. Is that a sign of a buy sign? Is that a sign of a changing or a turnaround for him? Because it was pretty rough for Will Crowe before that last start against Milwaukee. But this is definitely a game I don't have a strong feel for. So I'm passing. Connor, what do you think here? Cleveland, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm passing too. Cal Quantrill, he's on short rest here. Probably going to go 60 pitches at 3 innings or so. Will Crowe hasn't been good. 0-4, almost a 7 ERA. He did all right his last start against the Brewers. He got through 5, 2 earned, retired his last 15. But I can't take it. They gave it. There was a ton of runs yesterday. This is one where these 2 pitchers could come out. It could be a little bit sleepy, but I don't have enough nuts, I guess, to take the first 5 under 5 with these 2 bad pitchers. So it's just a pass for me.
Not only is my concern about maybe Will Crowe starting to pitch better, but it's just one start. I got to see it again. But Cleveland's lineup's dinged up right now. Jordan Luplo's on the IL. You've got Franmil Reyes is still on the IL. And the big one is Jose Ramirez. He left last night's game, foot injury, and questionable. And obviously he's the best bat they've got. So if there's no Jose Ramirez for Cleveland, that is a big blow to that lineup today. David, what do you think here?
Just a quick note on what you guys were saying is we got 10-mile-per-hour wind blowing to left center. And like Ian was saying with the last 10 days stats, this is what I told Jimmy yesterday. And he told me, I wish I would have listened to you. Cleveland's bullpen is number 5 if you look at it. But if you look at the last week, they're number 16 guys. They've been getting taxed. They've been getting hit. They're not that Cleveland bullpen we got stuck in the back of our head. So just careful betting Cleveland right now. The numbers aren't matching up to what they are.
And that's a great point. And it's another thing we want to reinforce now as we're getting later in the season. Some bullpens can handle a heavy workload and thrive and continue to pitch well with that heavy workload. Some can't, though. Some, the starters aren't pitching deep. And if you're a team that consistently has starters going 5-6 innings tops, the bullpen's feeling it at this time of year. And that's why sometimes those early success stories for these bullpens turn into nightmares halfway through the season because they're just getting worn down, beaten down. They're throwing too many innings.
Got guys like Mejia who can't get out the first inning every 5 days. They're pitching 8-inning games.
Yeah. And that's going to add up over time, David. 100% true. It's going to add up over time. And all of a sudden you're going to see that bullpen ERA go up and the effectiveness go down. And that's exactly, I think, kind of what we're seeing right now with this Cleveland group at the moment. Philadelphia, San Francisco, Nola and Nola, Aaron Nola and Alex Wood on the mound here. San Francisco minus 115, home favorite, 7.5 the total. I get Nola's Nola. I understand that 3.69 ERA, but he's on the road, and I don't like him as much on the road. And second of all, what's San Francisco got to do to get a little bit of respect? I mean, my gosh, look at the price here. It's basically barely more than even money with this team. They're 45-25, 20 games above 500. They were 23-9 at home. Holy goodness. I mean, what do we got to do to give this team a little bump in the price here? What more have they got to do to show you that they might be a pretty damn good baseball team? I said months ago, maybe they're going to fall off. They haven't done that yet. Maybe the second half is when things are going to regress a little bit for them. But until they do, San Francisco's hotter than a firecracker right now. I know they beat up on an absolutely pathetic Arizona team earlier this week, but still, a nice win against Philly last night in the opener. this price is just, I don't care about Nola being on the mound or not. This is just a damn good team that's been great at home all year. And Alex Wood's been solid. I know he's been not quite as sharp the last few starts, but this is a cheap price. I could only look at the value's the Giants here, in my opinion. Simple as that. So if I'm betting this game, it's San Francisco first 5 in full game. Connor, what do you think here? Phillies, Giants.
Yeah, there's not a ton of success for the Phillies off Wood either. I mean, Herrera's 2 for 15, McCutcheon's 5 for 30, Harper's 8 for 23 with 3 doubles. Yeah, not a whole lot of success. And Brandon Belt is at 5 for 8, 3 for 10. Posey, Crawford 3 for 10. Just Giants, stick with it. You know, Nola on the road, I don't like it. Just keep rolling the Giants here. At some point, that roster I think is not good enough, but they're good right now, and it shows. They're in first place. So yeah, Giants first 5 full game, however you want to do it here.
You're looking at some of these, and by the way, you're looking at some of these numbers here. Brandon Belt 5 for 8 against Nola. Buster Posey 300 average. Brandon Crawford 300 average. So there's been a little bit of success. A couple guys have hit Alex Wood, but not as many. Real Muto and Harper are the big ones. Harper especially 8 for 23 against Alex Wood. But again, this is different Alex Wood. He's been a lot better this year. David, what do you think here? Phillies, Giants.
I'm taking the Phillies first 5 minus 105. I can't believe they're going to give me that. We got the better team hitting. They're the better OPS versus righties versus the Phillies versus lefties. They're the better team all around. Like, I don't get how we're getting the best team in baseball right now as a even money pick'em type deal. So my best bet's going to be on this game later on. If you know what I do, you know where I'm going.
There you go. I think it's a little spoiler alert right there with where David's going on that. Boston and Kansas City. We've got the Red Sox and the Royals here. Boston, slight road favorites, minus 115, minus 120. Martin Perez, the lefty for the Red Sox. Brad Keller for the Royals. 10.5, 11. The total was 10.5. I'm starting to see it mostly 11 now across the board here in this one, and I'm still going over this total. I know it's a high total. I understand that completely, but Martin Perez has been an absolute disaster. He's basically gone back to the pitcher I certainly thought he was going to be at one point this season. I've never been a fan of him. We've got straight out wins to center field out at Kauffman Stadium today. That's a big part in why this total is high. And by the way, game time first pitch temperatures, 102 degrees Fahrenheit. We're not talking Arizona now. We're not talking Las Vegas heat temperatures. We're talking Kansas City, 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Brad Keller is just, we were waiting for him to turn a corner. He hasn't. His Kauffman Stadium ERA is like 7.8. He's just been brutal in his own home ballpark here in Kansas City. And I think you're going to get runs in bunches early, both sides. I think you can get them late. Boston's bullpen has not been as good lately. Kansas City's bullpen has been a shit show, for the last week or two. So to me, I don't know if you can make this total high enough. I mean, 7-5, 8-6, that kind of game is certainly in the cards, and I think that gets you over this total. So give me the Boston Kansas City game over 11 here. What do you think, Connor? Red Sox, Royals.
I think the Red Sox bounce back, but you got to take Martin Perez to get it done. I think they come back and win. I think there's a ton of runs. But Benintendi's out. We've talked about the Royals weren't hitting, but man, do they hit. Perez, Merrifield 6 for 16, Soler 4 for 14, Santana 7 for 13 with a homer, Dozier 3 for 10, 2 homers, Alberto 4 for 16 with a homer. Just down the line, they just rip him. So yeah, I got to lean the over even at 11 here. I think he can get there.
Yeah, exactly. Kansas City, that's not just good, incredible numbers, damaging numbers in the past against Martin Perez. And again, Brad Keller, not only struggling this year, but I think his worst pitching has been at home, believe it or not, going into this start. So not good for him against this Boston team. David, what do you think here, Boston KC?
I was talking about this game with my boy Paul in there this morning, and that total has scares the shit out of me when I see numbers like that, to where I just want to run and not even look at the game. But listening to you guys talk, I don't know if I want to take the Royals team total or the over. It's an over game for sure.
Yeah, what their team totals
4.5 minus
4.5
130.
yeah, 135, right around there. Yep. So,
but then, like you said, they beat the crap out of Perez too. So why single that game? Why not just let him hit?
Yeah, you're right about that. So that's what I'm just going to say. Both teams, go for it. Score your runs, please. I'd very much appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. And look, the Kansas City bullpen is good enough to give up 5 runs in an inning right now. That's how bad they've been. So you have to keep that in mind. If you don't get all the runs early, there's plenty of opportunities to get them later in the game for sure in this one. The second game of the Mets Nationals doubleheader. There is no pitcher for the Mets confirmed yet for this game. We do know it'll be John Lester for the Nationals, so we'll pretty much skip it until we know who's going to be pitching there for the Mets. We have St. Louis and Atlanta. Adam Wainwright, Drew Smiley on the mound. I'm not going to talk about this game too much because, look, I don't think this game's getting in tonight at Truist Park. We're talking 60 to 70% chance of rain. I'm seeing heavy rain in the hour-by-hour forecast as the game is expected to happen. So I don't think we're going to see baseball between these two teams. If we do, I never thought I'd say this and be interested in backing Drew Smiley, but I might here just because St. Louis isn't hitting a lick right now. And even against lefties, we always talked about St. Louis against the lefty, St. Louis against the lefty. Well, they're not hitting anything right now, not even lefties. So they're just in a dreadful funk. What did they score? 1 run in their last 2 games combined? Brutal from this Cardinals lineup. Just can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag at the moment. Smiley actually has been, for his standards, a little markedly better is the term that I'll use for Drew Smiley. So it would be Atlanta or nothing if this game gets played for me, but I don't think this game's getting in. What do you think, Connor?
I don't think it gets in either. No. Wainwright, we know his road to home splits. He's horrible on the road. So, yeah, I want nothing to do with him. The Cardinals, just can't hit anything. Just 1 run again yesterday. Smiley's the guy they should hit. I just don't, like we talked about, the game shouldn't get in. But I'd lean over Braves team total again, 4.5. I think they get to Wainwright. He's not at home. He's on the road. And maybe it's hard to take right now. It's hard to take if you were to bet this game, the Cardinals team total over 4.5. But a guy like Smiley is right up their alley to rip. Maybe they can finally break out of this horrible slump they're in.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. Like if the Cardinals are going to wake up offensively, this is not a bad pitcher to do that against. But can they do it is the big question. David, any thoughts, even though this game probably ain't going to get played?
Other than the St. Louis Cardinals have fucked me this last 10 days. They were number 2 10 days ago OPS. Now they're number 12 OPS versus lefties. They are falling and falling fast. I can't back anything to do with St. Louis or Miley. And the rain tells me I can't bet the over, so I'm off.
Yeah, exactly. I always say that too. If you're going to bet totals, beware of the overs in the rain games. Because if they don't get played, that's fine. You'll get a push, you'll get your refund. But if the game starts late, and they do start it up later in the night, I've seen this a million times, and I'm on an over. And early in my career, I never got out of it when the game started 2 hours after it was supposed to because of a rain delay. And I've seen it, and I'm like, wow, I'm fucked. You're seeing these bad swings, bad at bats. Batters
Zones
are rushing
open
to get this game over with. The umpires open up the strike zone.
They want to get the hell out of there.
Game over with. They try to rush it and push it through, and it's terrible if you have an over for a game that starts late because of a rain delay. So get off the over if you are in that spot. That's my best advice to everybody out there. Don't stay on an over when you know that game is starting 2 hours later because of a rain delay. That's trouble usually. Chicago White Sox, Houston Astros. What a painful loss for the White Sox last night. I mean, the walk-off loser against the Astros last night. We'll see if they can bounce back here. They've got the Bulldog, Lance Lynn, on the mound in this one. They've got one of the guys they would want here in this spot trying to bounce back, taking on, though, Framber Valdez, who's been equally as good for the Houston Astros. Houston minus 120 to minus 130 here in this game. Home favorites in that range, total 7.5 across the board. Lance Lynn, the Bulldog, has had a fantastic season. Last start, he had a 6-game winning streak snapped. Not his best, against the Rays. 3 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks in 6 innings, but still 1.37 ERA on the season. Opposing teams are only hitting 183 against him as of late. Just incredible numbers. He has kind of struggled, though, against the Astros in the past. Not kind of, he has. 3.99 ERA this year. Last 4 starts against the Astros, guys, 8 ERA for Lance Lynn against them. So this is tricky because this guy's all he's done is just mow down opposing lineups and be solid, keep his team in the game. But he's got some ugly numbers against Houston here. So what is it going to be tonight here for Lance Lynn? What we do know is usually the White Sox do hit lefties well. Framber Valdez, 1.42 ERA. I mean, he has been extremely good. He's faced the White Sox once in his career, but it was 2 years ago in a relief stint. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that by any stretch of the imagination. I get the total being 7.5, but I don't know. Gut feel says sneaky over potentially. Potentially. We're talking 7.5. We're talking 2 really good lineups. We know what the White Sox do against lefties for the most part, with some exceptions this year. We know that Lance Lynn, for as great as he's been this year, he has a tough time against some of these Astros hitters in the past. And remember, Houston's a team that's seen a lot of Lance Lynn from his Texas days. So there is no question that they're very familiar with what to expect. You see the numbers. Altuve, 11 for 31 and 2 home runs. How many times has Altuve ended up on my freaking Jack of the Day list this week? I mean, unbelievable. And I think he's probably going to end up there again tonight with those numbers. 11 for 31, 2 home runs. Yordan Alvarez, 4 for 9 and a home run. Martin Maldonado, 7 for 12 and a home run. Michael Brantley, 8 for 23 and a home run, 348 average. So there's a lot of ugly numbers for Lance Lynn against some of these Astros. So my lean right here is a sneaky over here, 7.5. We'll see. I mean, that's a pretty low number for 2 capable lineups. I know it was a low scoring under last night, but sometimes that reverses the next game. Connor, what do you think here? White Sox Astros.
Yeah, you see these 2 pitchers right away. You think this is an under, but the numbers, like you just mentioned, the Astros just rip him. This one's a crazy way to look because the White Sox, Valdez has pitched great. White Sox rip lefties. I just see runs then. Like you said, I think the full game over 7.5 is a little bit of a steal here. And to think you could get Lance Lynn on the mound and the White Sox against a lefty at plus 110 first 5. Do you know what I mean? But that's how bad. A lot of ways going back and forth in this one. You could look. I'd look towards the over. The team total for both teams to get over 3.5, I think, is interesting as well. So, and a tough one last night. 2-1 game. I was on the under there. Yeah, maybe we see some runs today. I can't wait to see this one, actually.
Yeah, it's fascinating because at the same time, while I'm probably going to get there over 7.5, the part of me is saying, no, what are you doing, man? Lance Lynn's just been phenomenal this year. What could you possibly think and be interested in an over? But that track record with Houston's tricky, and Houston does usually hit well at home. Last night, only 2 runs, but there's a troublesome track record here that worries me. And look, the White Sox against lefties are always a threat, even though Framber Valdez has very good numbers this year. It's a fascinating game to really dissect. David, what do you think here? White Sox Astros.
Hey, Fap, I'll talk Bueller when we get to the Dodgers. I don't want to go too far off topic, but I'm on big balls on the table. Houston run line plus 150 right now. We're getting Valdez. Okay, Valdez has gone up against Boston, Minnesota, all smash lefties. He hasn't given up more than 1 run in all of those games. We're getting Houston's bullpen is number 3 the last 7 days. Their number's 18th if you look at them all year. The last 7 days, they're out there fucking slanging the ball, guys. They're better than the White Sox bullpen the last 10 days, and they've got the better pitcher on the mound right now. So I'm taking Houston minus 1.5 at a good plus money today.
All right, Houston run line here. And look, White Sox have issues on the road. We're starting to find that out. Really good team. But a lot of it's been done at that. That's a terrible name. That's one of the worst names for a ballpark, by the way, in Major League Baseball. With Guaranteed Rate Field. I mean, that's the name of the ballpark in Chicago for the White Sox. I mean, gosh.
The only knock on taking the Astros. The only knock on taking the Astros today is the White Sox and Giants are the 2 most profitable teams backing after a loss, and the White Sox did lose yesterday.
Yeah. Yes, there are some teams that I usually like that, especially in football and basketball and hockey. those sports, the team off a loss, especially if it's a good team, those are usually good situations. But yeah, it's a good stat to throw out there for sure. Cincinnati, San Diego. We've got Vlad Gutierrez for the Reds, Miguel Diaz here for the San Diego Padres. San Diego minus 160 to minus 170, home favorites, 9 the total in this game. I'm going to lay off the Reds for a little bit here in this series because you know what? I've 2 games in a row they've lost to San Diego. I was on Cincinnati both times. One thing that I failed to recognize or account for well enough is they're back in the ballpark again at Petco Park. I mean, 40,000 people at full capacity. And you know what? That's been a playoff environment and atmosphere these last 2 games. They are loud. They're getting into it. And I think it's stoking the San Diego team quite a bit. And they're loving playing in front of that packed stadium again at Petco. So that's a good home field advantage they got going right now. And I'm not going against that again here, especially the Reds. Their offense is starting to cool off a little bit after that red hot run they had. I do like Gutierrez quite a bit. You know, he has been very, very good since joining this Reds rotation. You know, he's holding teams to a 185 batting average. It's very impressive. Diaz here will make the start for the San Diego Padres here. Again, they've got some injury concerns, so they've had to push guys back. Lamet, Darvish pushed back in the rotation. Weathers, of course, is on the injured list as well. So all of a sudden, Miguel Diaz gets to start here, 2.18 ERA for him. His only start was back on May 3rd, 3 innings in that start, but struggled a little bit in that one. Over his last 4 appearances, 5 innings, 5 runs allowed. He has given up a home run in a couple of those. So I do think there's a pitching edge for Cincinnati. Again, I lean again to the Reds' first 5, but I also leaned to the Reds' first 5 yesterday. No good. I leaned to the Reds' first 5 the day before against the Padres. No good. So I'm kind of just pumping the brakes a little bit, but I do lean Cincinnati first 5 because I like Gutierrez. I think he's a bet on pitcher a little bit. Connor, what do you think? Reds, Padres.
Real quick, just shout out to the chat, Robert Allen, Gerald Jones, my guy Maxwell, Smart, Cash Action Bets, all the guys here, DC, Fat, Robert Cherry, all the regulars. We appreciate you guys joining us. Yeah, this one's interesting. I haven't bet it yet. My lean is Gutierrez has been really well. We got an over yesterday that I was on between these two. Diaz is going to go about 3 innings, but the Padres got a pretty good bullpen. I lean towards the first 5 under or the full game. I just haven't bet it yet. And yeah, I lean the Reds first 5 at plus 130. Gutierrez 3-1. This is his first start outside of the Central, facing a NL West team, but I lean the Reds first 5. I'm probably not going to bet it, but I lean under here, whether it's first 5 or full game here.
All right, leaning first 5 and full game under and Reds first 5. And I know for a fact if I don't bet the Reds first 5, which I'm leaning that I won't, it'll probably win. So you might want to do that. Sharpie, what do you think here? Cincinnati, San Diego.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm back on that first 5 Cincinnati like I was yesterday.
Yep.
Didn't work out with the kid yesterday. I mean, I'm from San Diego, so you're dead ass right about how these fans here think they have a baseball team and they're actually going to games cheering for the first time in their lives. It's so annoying. Like every day you hear Padre talk like, oh, our team's so good. And it's like, you've never talked baseball in your life, guys. Shut up. But they're packing these stadiums. They're showing up like Ian's saying, dude, and they're rocking this crowd. Like they are rocking. They were there in the 9th inning, down 2 runs after they gave it up. They didn't leave. That surprised me. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm on the Cincinnati first 5 plus 136, and I'm on the team total for the Reds over 3.5 at minus 125. Like Connor said, their bullpen's good, but they're not that good. The last 7 days, they're number 18th. They're number 2 all the way around.
That's true.
They've been falling back. So I'm hoping with a bullpen day, they've been hurting. I think that Cincinnati can get there 4.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way again. I wish you luck because you're right. Cincinnati's been frustrating the other night too. When I actually thought I had the first 5 full game split, the first game of this series, and they come back, they get the lead in the 9th, and then they cough it up in the bottom half. They took turns having bullpen implosions. Both of those teams in the 9th inning. And by the way, you're right about the crowd, and I said it. And when Victor Caratini hit that walk-off home run in the 9th inning, that crowd was cheering like they won the World Series. That's how loud it was. I couldn't believe it.
I took the Reds plus 1.5 at plus 235 at the beginning of that 9th inning. I thought I was an easy casher, and I was.
Yeah, I had it 190. Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, they were up 4-2. You think you're looking good, and then 4-4.
And they did win the World Series, Ian.
Run Jack. Yeah.
That's what they need to be known. They didn't win the World Series. It just was a regular season walk-off.
They've never won a World Series. They've been to 2 and got swept.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, way back in the day. That's right. Yeah, they did. That was, I remember the Yankees did it to them one year. I remember in the
97,
90s,
98. That was back when I was still a Padre fan, a little tyke in San Diego who thought the Padres were good.
That's when that Yankee dynasty under Joe Torre was just starting to blossom in that great era. And I remember it for sure. Padres, they were just outclassed in that World Series.
That was the first time I seen for my own eyes how bad the Padres GMs and general management was. They disloaded their whole team that year. The next year, not one of the 9 starters was on the Padres except for Tony Gwynn. And it's like, you got rid of your whole team that got you there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's didn't make much sense at the time going with that approach. Adrian Hauser, Austin Gomber, the pitching matchup here, Milwaukee, Colorado. Rockies -115 to -120. Home favorites here at Coors, 10.5 the total in this game. Hauser 3.62 ERA for him coming into this start. We'll see how he goes here in this one, but Hauser 13 starts, 7-5. He's actually done a little bit better in recent starts. His only career game against the Rockies, he was here at Coors Field 2 years ago, and he actually, 4 scoreless innings for Hauser in that game. So it's the only experience he has in this ballpark, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. You got Gomber on the mound for the Colorado Rockies here. Look, Gomber 3-1 at home, and he hasn't allowed an earned run in 23.1 innings. So I can't figure out what has gotten into Austin Gomber, but whatever it is, it's been working for him right now. He struggled against the Brewers in his career. Remember, Gomber was a Cardinal for a period of his career, so he saw the Brewers quite a bit. He has a 6.23 ERA against the Brewers in the past. When you look at pitcher versus batter stats in this game, you can see that and there's not really many that have had success here against Gomber. Hauser on the other side, no one's had success from the Rockies against him. And again, Hauser had 4 scoreless innings in his one time he's pitched in this ballpark. So the weather tonight we've talked about how warm it's been all week. The wind is still blowing out to center field at Coors Field, but the temperatures have cooled off. You're not getting 90s and 100s Fahrenheit like you did earlier this week. It's down to the high 70s. So, if it's not for the faint of heart for you, maybe a first 5 under based on what I'm seeing with these two pitchers in terms of form, in terms of past against these two lineups. But that would be a lean here for me, maybe a first 5. And you are getting obviously a high number with a first 5 under here being Coors Field. Connor, what do you think here with the Brewers and Rockies?
Yeah, and the Brewers still can't hit. Gomber just keeps pitching well. And you're right, since he gave up a bunch of runs to the Reds, his last 4 starts, Hauser's got a 1.71 ERA. A difficult one for me. I'm going to wait on this one. I've been thinking about it already a lot today. Yeah, you could go first 5 under, but the wind's blowing out. You got to back Gomber a little bit. He's been really good and really good at home. Now I don't want the Rockies in minus almost 115 here, but I'd lean under a little bit. That's just my lean.
Isn't it amazing Colorado can't win worth a shit on the road, and yet at home now you got to back them and they're favorites? Yeah, so it's like the odds makers know, like they're onto it. Colorado's just that much. It's just so much better at home. You've got that crazy adjustment with the way that they are priced basically at home versus on the road. By the way, what I do want to take a look at, and this is always the case, I lean first 5 under, but I'll feel better about it if these two pitchers are keeping the ball in the yard. I'm looking at Hauser. Last 3 starts, he's only given up 1 home run, so he's done a better job. Home runs were an issue for him earlier in the season. Gomber's gone 3 straight starts without giving up a dinger. No home runs for him in his last 3 starts. So that's good. That's what I want to see if I want a first 5 under, especially on a wind blowing out in this kind of ballpark. I want to know that you're not giving up the home run ball. And both of these guys, at least in the short term, doing a better job keeping the ball in the park. What do you think here, David?
I myself I'm off this game. I wanted Gomer as a dog. When I looked at the line and seen he was favored, I was like, oh, they're on to him now. Gomer's been a dog the last 2 times out, guys, and he's, like they said, he's done really well the last 20 innings. Going into the league, he was their number 3, number 2 pitcher with the most upside. Marquez was supposed to be their number one, and he ain't done nothing for him. So Gomer's actually living up to his name. I mean, he is only, I think, 24, 25. He's got a lot of upside to him. So I could see backing Gomer. I'm all about fading Hauser because his FIP never matches his ERA type shit. So I can get it. I just can't take Colorado as a favorite. But I believe the 2 times they have been favorites this year, they've won because they're not favorites often.
Yeah, I mean, they are. You're right, Dan. We mentioned that
they
a
won.
long time ago on the show. I remember Gray pitched against the Phillies. I still remember that game, and I
Been
said,
a long
"What are they
time,
doing here
man.
Popped
for?"
into my head.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
nah,
right.
dude, this
They
has happened. This don't happen often.
No, it's true. When they're favored, usually that's not the worst time to be backing Colorado because usually it's for a good reason. Detroit Tigers, LA Angels, next game on the slate here. We've got in this matchup, it is Patrick Sandoval, the lefty for the Angels. And whoa, who's this for Detroit? Is that fast Willie Peralta from the Milwaukee Brewers from years ago? Welcome back. Where the hell's he been the last couple of years? We got the Angels minus 220, home favorites, 9.5. That's been my nickname for him for years. So even before I've been doing shows on this channel. So that's a new one, I think, for some of our listeners and viewers. But I always called him Fast Willie Peralta.
When I wrote the game down, Ian, I laughed.
Yeah.
I was like, is this fucking Willie Peralta? Like, I just left it alone.
Guy.
I was like, what the fuck is this guy?
Called up from Toledo.
He's pitched well in AAA lately.
He actually has, but man, I gotta see it. I gotta see it at the major. This guy, this guy was never consistent. He wild. He'd miss the zone. He'd walk. He'd like just go on these crazy runs where he couldn't find the strike zone when he was with Milwaukee. Okay, maybe he is a different pitcher, but look, he's gonna have to prove it to me first. There's no way I'm trusting him to shut down an Angels lineup that is. Here's what the Angels lineup has done in the last 10 games: 8-6-6, 8-10, 5-4-4, 7-11. All without Mike Trout. All without Mike Trout. It's time we tip our cap a little bit and say respect, salute. LA Angels for a great job by this lineup. Fletcher, Lagares, Max Stassi, go on down the list. Jared Walsh. I mean, everybody, Rendon, everybody's hitting in this lineup right now, and it's been pretty fun to watch. And the Angels, I was on the over with the Tigers and the Angels yesterday. I talked about it. They've now gone over 8 straight games, 8-0 to the over, the Angels. And you know what it's like with these total streaks. When I start riding total streaks like this, I keep on riding until the train stops at the station. So I'm right back to the over here, 9.5 with the Tigers and the Angels. I'm not. Sandoval's actually surprised me. I didn't think this guy was anything to write home about as a pitcher. He's pitched a lot better than I thought. We'll have to see if that keeps up. I'm not totally sold that it will. I mean, you're talking about a run-of-the-mill Tigers team against lefties. I get it, 223 for the season, 3.77 runs per game against lefties. However, 235, 4.74 runs per game against lefties in the last 10 games for the Tigers. So a little bit of a bump, a little bit of an uptick in the Tigers' production against lefties here in their last 10 games. And then, of course, you got 2 bullpens that are fully capable of giving up runs late in the game. So I've been on a bunch of Angels overs lately. I think I had them against Oakland as a best bet over the total. The day game earlier this week against Oakland, I was on Tigers Angels over last night. I'm coming right back to it. 8-0 to the over for the Angels, their last 8 games. If the streak is starting to ride the hot streak, you keep on riding it until the streak ends. That's always my golden rule. So I like Tigers Angels over 9.5 here in this one. Connor, what do you think here? Detroit, LA Angels.
Yeah, I'm with you. Peralta, I even took it in game over whatever 10 yesterday. I doubled up on the over. I just see it again. Take the over here. You could take the Angels run line. Their bullpen's been so bad. You almost want to go alternate run line. I thought about it last night, but I'm not here. But I think the Angels win. And the Angels bullpen, they can cough up some runs. And like you said, the Tigers hit lefties a little bit better lately. I know Sandoval's been okay a little bit lately, but give me the over here. Just more runs, I think.
And by the way, bullpens in the last 10 games for the season, these 2 bullpens overall, 5.25, 4.93 for the Tigers and Angels, respectively. The last 10 games, Tiger bullpen 5.66 ERA, Angels bullpen 5.15 ERA. That is not good. Those are hideous numbers. Both bullpens, not only full season.
Yeah, they had like a 7-day stretch. The Angels had like a good 7-day stretch, and they've gone back to their old selves, just getting tagged again. Yep.
Yeah, get that Michael Mayer out of there, and these freaking guys that can't get outs here half the time.
I love seeing
for
Mayer.
this, yeah, exactly. That's good news if you got the over of the other team. David, what do you think here? Tigers, Angels.
I'm looking at Sandoval's K-props again. I ran them last week. They hit easy. He still got touched, but this is a team that strikes out top of the league versus left-handed pitchers. And like yesterday, I'm going to hope for a 0-0 game going into the second inning so I can live bet it at a better number and just keep chasing that number every time it goes up, because it's going to go over like it has been. And that to me is just easy money to me. Like,
oh, that's what I got it at, David. 7.5.
Yeah,
I got Tigers Angels because it started at like 2-1 in the fourth inning, and it went dropped.
That's
and
when we smashed it at in the fifth inning. We hit 10.5, and it was just like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
But
that's what
someone brought up the Manoas at 5.5 plus 125. That's exactly what I thought. Like I said, 4.5 juice to 5.5 plus 125. I like it. Like, they haven't seen them. The only thing is the weather, and it's like 90 degrees blowing out in Baltimore. So that can suck.
Yeah.
But we're not looking for runs. We're looking for Ks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% right. And that's going to be end up being the main thing, definitely, with that. But that's good advice. That's what you got to do in this series. It worked last night. And even last night, I was not in any panic with the low-scoring start to that game. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm feeling good about that over still. And sure enough, look what happened. It was an explosion late. And same tonight. If it's 1-0 or 1-1 after the first 4 innings or so, hit that over. Just hit it. Bet it right then and there. Because you got a great chance for runs late in the game for sure. We're down to our last 2 games here. We were down to Tampa Bay, Seattle. Josh Fleming, Logan Gilbert on the mound here. We got the Rays in that minus 140 road favorite range in this game. The total 8 across the board. This could be a first 5 under for me, and maybe a first 5 Seattle again. Seattle, I like the way they're going right now. They beat the Rays. They played better the last week or so. That's been good to see. And Logan Gilbert's coming around for Seattle. This kid is a high prospect. They expected a lot from him. He struggled early. He's getting his game back now, and he's pitched a lot better the last 1, 2, 3 starts. I think that's going to continue. He's coming off arguably his best outing, against the Cleveland Indians in his last start. Pitched a lot better. 1 run, 4 hits, 6.2 innings. Pitched deep into the game too, and outdueled Shane Bieber, I believe, in that game. So Logan Gilbert's coming around for this Seattle team. Fleming's actually been pretty good himself for the Rays. 3.2 ERA in this one. So that's why I kind of like the first 5 under in this game, and I like Seattle a little bit too. More so on the first 5 than the full game with the Mariners side. But the Mariners side's been nice to me the last few games. We've cashed a couple tickets with them last night, and we'll see if we can do it again tonight. And Logan Gilbert, to me, looks like he's got some bet-on signs right now. Connor, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Seattle.
Yeah, I think you can find it. I'm just looking at my one book, a 4.5, probably minus 120. I'd lean that way, first 5 under. The 4's even money here. Fleming's been good. Mariners have hit lefties all right. I still lean under a little bit. I've been on Gilbert his last few, and he's cashed in for me. This should be a good one, and I think it stays under the 8. I think it's a close game. I lean Mariners a little bit here. Playing well at home, almost 130, so I lean them plus 128 here.
All right, David, anything for you? What do you like here, Rays Mariners?
I usually don't like going under full games. Like, I like the under first 5s over full games, but I ended up going under 8. The Seattle bullpen's number 7 the last week, guys. They're not that bad. They're pulling their shit together. And like these guys just said, Gilbert's been well, and Fleming's Fleming, dude. Seattle just don't hit lefties. They're 26 in the league OPS. We're at Safeco Field. We're at a pitcher's ballpark. We got wind blowing in. This is an under for me.
All right, under. And I like the stats there. The bullpen, we can have a little bit more confidence in them these days because these 2 bullpens have been better in the shorter term. Tampa Bay, as you'd expect, it's good to see Seattle's improved because they were not as good earlier in the season. Speaking of not as good right now, Arizona, they're next up. They're the last game on the board. They take on the LA Dodgers here. We've got the Dodgers minus 215, I would say. Road favorites here, minus 210, minus 215. 9 the total in this game. We got Buehler on the mound for the Dodgers. Matt Peacock for Arizona. Definitely, this is, again, Connor always talks about the power pitcher or the righty against the Dodger lineup, and that is usually trouble. And you would expect it to be trouble here for Matt Peacock against the Dodgers. An ERA that is only 5.26 on the season, which is nothing very good at all. Buehler on the other side, 2.38 ERA, even better in the last 3 starts, 1.42. 3-0 in the last 3 starts for the Dodgers with him on the mound, 9-4 for the season. Contrast that to Matt Peacock, 1-5 in his 6 starts, the Arizona Diamondbacks. He has a 7 ERA in 2 starts here at Chase Field, so it's not been very good. You obviously have to pay a significant premium here if you like the Dodgers. I get it. But it's the only way I would go here. Now, they are back home, and they actually do win games at home compared to on the road, Arizona. At least they win a few more at home than they do on the road. That's putting it mildly. But they didn't win last night, and I thought they were set up to have a better matchup with Caleb Smith, the lefty, and they just couldn't score for him. They couldn't get any runs for him against Trevor Bauer last night, and they get shut out. So this Arizona team is just in a world of hurt. Torey Lovello's done. All right, he's absolutely done. He's not coming back as the manager, not after this disaster that's happening right now with Arizona. I definitely am interested in the team total here, over 5.5, but kind of like what Connor said before, 5.5s, I don't love betting those over for team totals. It's a high number, but I could see the Dodgers getting 6+ in this game. They really should against Peacock as well as this Arizona bullpen. So I still might get there with over 5.5 Dodgers team total. What do you think, Connor? Dodgers, Diamondbacks?
Yeah, the Dodgers, we talk about this all the time with their games, and they're, for the most part, they're an in-game bet for me. I just feel them out, see how, maybe if they're down a few. Last night is zeros. Ended up taking them late in the game. So, and you get this money way down. Buehler's obviously been good all year, 6-0, 2.38 ERA, 77 Ks. He's had a bit of luck too. I some reason I think this game gets over. The Dodger lineup, though, like I talked about, is just not healthy. We had a bunch of no-name guys in there yesterday coming through with a few hits late, but they didn't score any runs for about 17 innings. So, yeah, just lean Dodgers here. I'd actually lean the over a little bit. If you get to the Peacock's no good, the D-backs bullpen's horrible, but this is an in-game bet for me.
6-1, by the way, for Buehler in his last 7 starts against Arizona. So he's faced them a lot, and he's had a lot of success. And by the way, other than, I think it's clearly an anomaly, he gave up 5 runs, and actually 2 of them were earned. So there were some mistakes in the field. 2 earned runs in 2.2 innings against Arizona. His 1 bad start against them. Other than that, for Buehler against Arizona, 0-0-0-3-1, the runs allowed against this Arizona team. So he's definitely dominated this Diamondbacks lineup. David, what do you think here? Dodgers, D-backs.
Like Connor said, we were back in the Discord last night, and we got the Dodgers at -125 last night, knowing what the Arizona has in their bullpen. Like,
yeah,
they don't take those into mathematics, guys, when they're giving us our lines. We got to just chop it. But Steven fucking Souza Jr. is what happened last night, guys. This guy was an all-star who just can't stay healthy. I didn't even know he was on my fucking team. I seen him and I was like, oh shit, this kid is legit, bro. Like, if he can stay healthy, he's a legit all-star player. He just tries too fucking hard and runs in the walls at like alarming rates. It's kind of crazy. But this game matches up into my run line and I'm like 77% when I do math and it meets my math. I've got a number 1 versus a number 5 pitcher. I've got 3rd OPS versus 27 OPS. So we've got a 20-spot gap in OPS. And then we've got a 20-spot gap in the bullpens. We've got the better starting pitcher, the better bullpen, the better hitters. That equals to me is the -1.5 run line.
Yeah, I've always liked Steven Souza Jr. going back to when he was with the Rays where he started many years ago. But he's always had health problems consistently, year in and year out. Houston, he had those issues as well for a lot. Now, of course, he's with the Dodgers. But he was always a guy that with a lot of promise, a lot of hope, big-time ball player, big-time, position player with power, good fielder, plus fielder, runs the bases well, but has always had issues staying healthy. But obviously chips
player
in
at one time. Like,
yeah, oh yeah,
no question. And it's just unfortunately one of many examples you'll find in baseball where unfortunately injuries kind of derail the way things go for a career, and sometimes that can happen. This show was not derailed by anything because the analysis was spot on. It was top notch. We're going to have David back on more than more often here on the Closing Time Show. Whenever you like it, we'll bring him on to talk baseball. Great job, David. Connor, great as always. We'll get to best bets. We'll get to Jack of the Day in just a second. But before we do that, we'll pause for some messages from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, check them out. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke. Southtown 101 in San Antonio. Manscaped, promo code PubSports. Get 20% off your purchase. The brand new and improved Lawnmower 4.0. Hot off the presses. So make sure you check them out. Manscaped, promo code PubSports. And mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, MLB. We've got U.S. Open golf continuing this weekend. It's a cluttered leaderboard at the top. There's like 20 guys that can still win this damn thing. So it'll be an exciting weekend at Torrey Pines. We've got football starting in 2 months as well, and looking forward to that. So great time of year to check out mybookie.ag. Sign up for an account, Bitcoin accepted currency for your deposit. So mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports. All right, it is that time of the show that you've all been waiting for. Best bets and, of course, the Jack of the Day. So with that in mind, let's get to it. Here's the Jack of the Day.
Well, see you later.
Jack of the Day. I'm looking at some Marlins here against Jake Arrieta. Arrieta. I think he's going to end up getting hit pretty hard here in this one. He's struggled lately. He's been better at home, but you're going to give me Starling Marte. He's got 2 home runs against him. Jack of the Day for sure there. I don't mind Rojas or Alfaro either. They've hit homers off Arrieta as well. But Starling Marte is the one that's done significant damage, and with the 2 jacks against him in the past.
Good price,
we'll
too.
go Starling Marte. And by the way, good job by the manager there, Mattingly. He's got him hitting second in the lineup. Give him as many at-bats as possible against Arrieta. So Marte, number 2 in that lineup today for the Marlins. So I like that as a home run prop. I mentioned Altuve earlier. I can't go wrong there in terms of him. He's done some damage against Lance Lynn in the past. Hunter Dozier against Martin Perez. He has 2 home runs against him. I don't mind that. Same with Carlos Santana. You could look at both of those guys against Martin Perez today. That's about it. I'll stop there. Altuve, Starling Marte for Miami, and a couple of those Royals, Hunter Dozier and Carlos Santana for Jack of the Day. Connor, any home run props, Jack of the Day?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with some of those. Astros, and of course Altuve. I'm going Starling Marte was my center one because it's plus 480, and he's got unreal numbers off Arrieta. Mark Canha, he was plus 350 for the A's. He was like 4 for 5 with a homer, and so was Olsen, but he was only plus 275 as well. And one last one was Christian Walker. He's 3 for 13 with 2 jacks off Buehler, and he can always seems to give up a jack. Buehler does. So look at Christian Walker. I don't have his number out, the price, but I think it'll be decent. I think it'll be in the high plus 400s high. So Christian Walker.
A very common stat line with Buehler is 2 runs in 7 innings, and the 2 home runs were 2 solo home runs. You see that a lot with Walker Buehler. He's had so many of those similar stat lines. David Sharpe, what do you think for home run props today?
I don't look too much into hitting props, but when I started looking into it, and I'm into the
wait, Sharpie. Okay, you got no. I was gonna say since this is your section, give your K prop.
That's the best bet of the day. That's my
There you
best
go.
bet.
Okay,
That's my best
okay.
bet.
All right, we'll save it for that then.
Carlos Santana, he's batting 636 and 11 at bats. He's batting in the 2-hole. I like the Hunter Dozier, but he's batting 186 this year, so I don't want to take a guy who's not hitting hot. So I'm on Santana.
Yeah, I get that. I prefer the current form as well with the good numbers against that particular pitcher. So that's the one concern you have with Dozier. All right, best bets for this Saturday card. Conor Mac, let's go to you. Best bet, we'll start there.
I think team total here's a good one. Obviously, Sharpe likes the Astros run line, but the White Sox, the lefty, I know Valdez is good. I think this total's low. It was on the under yesterday. This gets over 7.5, and you're getting a -110. So White Sox, Astros, we see some runs today, over 7.5, -110.
There you go. White Sox, Astros over 7.5. Best bet for Conor Mac. And David Sharpe in his MLB closing time debut. He has a strikeout prop best bet. Let's have it.
Strikeout prop. We're going Alex Wood over 5.5 +120. We're getting plus money on Alex Wood right now. We got the Philadelphia Phillies who pop them up. They're number 6 in the league strikeout percentage versus lefties, and they're bottom 4 in the league walks. So we're looking at Alex Wood, who's got very minimal at bats versus this team, so that always favors the pitcher. And a team that just struck out 9 times versus Kershaw and 5 versus Urias, but they pulled him at 80 pitches. They're not going to pull Wood at 80 pitches today, guys. He's going 5-6 innings, 7 Ks, plus money, cash it.
All right, there we go. Alex Wood over 5.5 strikeouts plus price as well with that strikeout player prop, so pitcher prop. So definitely good value there. That is David Sharpe's inaugural first ever best bet here on the MLB closing time show. Mine is going to be I'm going back and forth Boston KC over and the Detroit over. I'm going to go the Detroit over. Detroit Angels over 9.5. Like it a lot. If we don't get the runs early, we sure as hell can get them late, just like we did last night in that game. Sandoval is due for. There's some things that point to some regression for him on the way. Hopefully that starts tonight. And I certainly do not have much faith or confidence right now in fast Willie Peralta for the Milwaukee Brewers. Not for the Brewers, for the Tigers right now. So former Milwaukee Brewer for the Tigers, but definitely liking the over again. 8 straight overs for the LA Angels. I think they make it 9 tonight. So Detroit LA Angels over 9.5 for my best bet. That'll wrap it up. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. We appreciate it. And great to have David Sharpe. I agree, DC. Good addition to the show indeed. We'll have him back on for sure. We'll be back tomorrow, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. Another edition of the MLB Closing Time Show. We'll be back in 40 minutes time because we got the NBA Pub Hub, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Connor, me, Ski, and Dutch will talk about Game 7. Nothing better than a Game 7. Best 2 words in sports. Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Game 7 tonight. We will break that game down from every angle. Side total, player props, you name it. We'll have it all on the Pub Hub at the top of the hour. For Conor Mac and our special guest, David Sharpe, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. We'll see you next hour for the Pub Hub NBA right here on Pub Sports Radio.